first, I want to start with some news that we've been following here in our newsroom, and that involves a double homicide in Coweta County that police are investigating. Our Doug Evans has been staying on top of this. And Doug, what are you learning about this story right now? I know we were talking about it in the morning meeting, and it sounds like just an unfortunate situation. Homicides always are, but this seems like a tragedy.
Yes, it's very much a family situation here in Coweta County that has been unfolding over the last 12 to 14 hours here. The two victims, the two homicide victims, their names have not been released, but they have released now some details since we were last talking with you about this case. One of the victims is 82 years old, a woman. The other victim is 79 years old, also a woman, and we're told that these two victims are related to their attacker. Let's show you who that is. His name is Brandon Christopher Jones. We're told that he's 25 years old. He's currently being held here at the Coweta County Jail, and he is charged with 2 counts of murder. This is some new information into us. Mr. Jones made statements to law enforcement at the scene indicating that he had killed the 2 victims, and a regional mental health team had been at the residence earlier in the day, yesterday. The motive and circumstances surrounding this incident remain under investigation. There are a couple of things that I have uncovered here in just the last hour in talking to sources here at the Coweta County Sheriff's Office. They tell me 2 things. One is that the 911 call was made by a relative who was not at the house but had learned some concerning information about these 2 women and called 911 to report something. Right? Not a murder, not just to report something was going on over at that house. And so when deputies arrived at the house last night, they find these 2 victims. The only thing that they're saying about the murder is that it was a physical assault. So that leads you to believe that it didn't involve a weapon, say like a knife or a gun or something like that, and they're not elaborating here yet at the Sheriff's Office. The other thing that they talked about is the GBI involvement. They say they called in the GBI to help not in the investigation but with the crime scene analysis. So the GBI was there on the scene, and we had video of that as well from last night. And they say they're not, this is not their investigations. It's very much the investigation by the Coweta County Sheriff's Office, but that the GBI is helping just process the crime scene. Just a really horrific thing. Very, very sad for this family. Obviously, there's some mental health component in this. And we know, Ariel, that this man, Brandon Christopher Jones, has been arrested before here in Coweta County. We have a mugshot of him that's not in that clip that you just saw, but we do have that in our possession. He's no stranger to law enforcement here in Coweta County as well.
Doug, just a horrible situation. My heart goes out to this family. You touched on something that I think I was going to ask, which was just, do police suspect that mental health issues may be involved with this, or drugs? And I understand that, you're working through that piece of the investigation. They may not have told you yet, but that is something that I think that when looking at this situation, people would ask. Right.
And, they tell me that they debated releasing that information. They of course knew it as part of their investigation. There was some discussion here at the Sheriff's Office this morning on whether or not to release that. Of course, they protect the things that they know in the investigation. They don't release everything so that it doesn't, taint the investigation or the prosecution or anything like that. But they felt like they needed to release that information so that people understood that this horrendous thing, this taking of 2 lives here in Coweta County, a double homicide, pretty unheard of in a pretty quiet community usually, and so they wanted people to understand that this involve some kind of mental health situation so that they didn't think that there was something larger than that, something even more nefarious than that was happening out in the community. So that's one of the reasons why they did release that information, and also release the information that the victims were related to their attacker.
Makes sense, Doug. You know, before I let you go, curious if you have any final questions that you're trying to figure out with this story besides some of the obvious. Anything else you think our viewers should know before I have to move on here?
Yeah, I think that we're going to learn more in time, Ariel, and I think that we're just so new into this, just the first 12 or 14 hours into this investigation, and I think that as we go along, we're going to learn some more things about that. The one thing that I have heard today was that the scene was pretty horrific. It was pretty bad. When the deputies arrived, he was there. Brandon Jones was there at the scene, and everything. But I understand that for these first arriving deputies, they found a pretty horrific scene at that house on Little Road here in Coweta County.
Doug, thanks so much for covering this story for us. Absolutely awful, and we'll continue to stay tuned to you as you follow the latest. But thanks so much for your time today and your reporting.